my friends. Welcome to Sort of Brilliant, a show where the characters are made up and Hogwarts house sorting absolutely does matter. My name is Rachel.
And I'm her best friend and co-host, Lauren. Every other week, we're going to invade a fandom and determine whether your favorite character belongs in Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. There's bound to be some arguments along the way.
But in the end, we're always right.
Well, according to us.
According to us. Hi, everybody. We are back. Surprise! We're not on our normally programmed schedule, are we, Lauren?
No, we are not. This is an in-between week, isn't it? It's not even a Tuesday.
It's not.
It's a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Wish it was a Thursday.
And I was just going to say that. Get out of my head. So this is a celebratory episode for something that, listen, you could even say is the reason this podcast exists, because without this topic, Lauren and I wouldn't be friends. We would have never met.
It's true.
So this is in honor of the 6-month anniversary of Destiel going canon, because it did. It's it happened. We were there. You guys saw it, right?
I think I saw it.
You think you saw
a fever
it?
dream, right? No, I saw it. It happened. It's canon. They're in love.
Oh, big time.
We're not here to argue that. It happened.
No, that's not what this episode is about.
No.
We're not here to convince anybody.
Only one of our episodes exists where we did not know that Dean and Cass was canon.
Yeah, the very first one.
Can you imagine living in that world? I lived in it I lived in it for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't want to go back. I did 7 and it was like the 7 longest years of my life. I'm not ready. I don't want to go back to before November 2020. I just don't want to live there.
The anticipation was delicious, though.
It was. And I mean, listen, we say it as if, okay, they went canon in November, right? They went canon this day 6 months ago. However, we've been saying they're canon for a long time.
It's true.
So we've
it's
always
just that
known.
Everybody else has to see it now.
Yeah.
And
well,
when
if
they
you don't
can't,
see
we
it,
laugh
come
at
on.
them. We point and laugh. So
Listen, I told Lauren before we started recording, I was like, I'm ready to just go off on anybody who doesn't see it. I'm ready to fight everybody. And she's like, that's not what this is about, Rachel. You have to stop. But I am ready to fight you if you're listening.
This is an episode with the thought in mind that it is canon. And it is a relationship. And we're talking about Dean and Cass's relationship with, of course, what this podcast is about, the lens of Dean being a Gryffindor and Cass being a Hufflepuff, and how is that dynamic working out for them? Pretty well,
yeah,
to be honest.
Really well.
Really well.
It's a good house pairing, and even friends of mine in real life, like who are Gryffindors and Hufflepuffs who are together, it's magical. It's a nice pair.
Their personalities are just so good.
They go well. They mesh well, and I mean, Dean and Cass are like a special breed of Gryffindor and Hufflepuff.
They are.
They shine differently than the rest of the ones we've covered, I would say. I mean, every character is unique in their own way, but these two.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They have special experiences.
I think it's fair to say that they've ruined us for every other couple. Every TV show couple,
I have not shipped anything seriously since them. To be straight up.
No, me neither. I cannot explain to you the level of attachment that we've had and the investment we've put into it. And even now, we like to say we're in season 16. I think season 16 just ended. We're going into season 17 because Destiel
our friend Julie is going to write season 17. Shout out, Julie.
Amazing. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for all the work that you've done over the years. You've kept me crying.
Fan fiction's a beautiful place, folks.
Come on, it's amazing. To have it actualized on my screen, just for some background information, Lauren and I decided to host a Zoom meeting where we had a bunch of our pocket Twitter friends come on a Zoom.
We paid $14 for premium Zoom.
We did, and we had a bunch of people
because
I
had a feeling. I convinced Rachel that we should watch it with other people.
Well, for me, I just never thought there was. Not to get all finale talk on you, but I thought Cass would be in the last episode, so I was like, maybe we should save it for the last one. And Lauren was like,
It's like, I got a feeling.
So we put that together. We made cute little graphics, and we invited everybody to come. And we had, 30 people come?
Yeah, we had a good amount of people. Yep.
It was fun. It was people I've never met in real life, but I've been tweeting at for 7 years. So that was really fun. And we were all like, all right, we're going in, folks. Let's just see what happens. And even having hosted this Zoom, even having the two of us put this together, we expected something.
Right.
But I don't know that we or any of us saw that coming.
I can tell you that I didn't. We, like, what happened is, you know, Cass makes the deal and he's like, you can't kill me until I'm happy. Back in season 13, and we were all like, ha ha ha, what if it's that he loves Dean? Like, because it should be, right?
It could only be that.
The story doesn't make sense unless it's that, right? But clowning, and we're like, this makes sense, but the supernatural writers are, they won't do it. Like, they won't. And then Robert Bobo Barons said, y'all thought, like, I expected like some level of like reverse crypt scene, like some, like the scraps we've been fed for years and years just to keep us going, like just to keep the train running. Like, They feed those to us all, and I just expected like more of that. And then like Cass dies, and then he comes back in the finale, and blah blah blah. That's what should have happened anyway. But no, they had Cass give a full on like huge ass confession and say he loved Dean, and I pushed my couch across the family room. So with the force of my getting up from it and screaming.
Well, what's funny is I was watching it on a live stream because I wanted to watch in real time with other people, and I didn't want to be looking up at my television at the same time and look at Zoom. So I've got two monitors. I put a stream in front of me, had the Zoom chat on another. And I'm watching, and my stream is like 10, 15 seconds behind everybody. And I see Lauren just get up and shove her table across the room. And I'm listening to this speech. I'm listening to it, and I've heard Destiel say, the one thing I want, something I know I can't have. And, my brain starts going brrr, and it's just white noise. And I'm like, no, there's no way. Get out of here. Get out of no way. And I'm like side-eyeing the Zoom. And I'm like, their faces, did they freeze? Because everyone was just frozen listening. And all of a sudden, everyone just starts like screaming. And they're muted. So it's these wordless, open-mouthed screams. And Lauren's standing up and she's crying. And people are crying. And my stream is glitching. And I'm like, no, you can't do this to me right now. And it came back on magically. And I hear him say the words. And I wanted to eat my own fist. I couldn't believe it. Could you believe?
No, I couldn't. I was like, what? I told you guys, it's 10
unreal.
Years. And it was 10 years, like, it was 2010, 2011 to 2020. So it was like middle of high school to being 2 years out of grad school for me. Like, those were the years. And like, I wanted this bad, and they gave it to me. Like, this is like a Slytherin too. This is something I have absolutely no control over either. Like, I can pay all the money in the world I want and go tell Misha Collins that Dean and Cass are in love. And like, he listens to me, but he's not going to do shit for me. Mm-hmm. So like, I can't control this, and they did it. And like, now what? I have to sit here and live with the fact that they're actually in love. I've been going around telling people for 10 years, and they've been like, okay. Like,
I know. And it's kind of gotten to the point for me where I just didn't expect it so much. I had resigned myself to, like, I had always said Cass is going to sacrifice himself for Dean, and that's going to be the nod to us. Like, I always expected that. And I was like, oh, they'll reunite in heaven. This was my headcanon for years. And to have it actualized in a way to verbally hear him say, I love you. I'm at the point now where I was like so deprived of anything like that if I see the GIF, if I see the video, if I hear someone talking about it vaguely in the distance, I have to run away. I scroll faster. I can't look it in the face anymore because I just can't. I just can't. I don't know how to explain it. I can't look at it. I feel too much. I'm not prepared for it.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I know the fandom right now is in a weird place because the finale was not good, and it hurt actually in a lot of ways. But 15, 18 did not, and that's what I try to that is what I live with. I'm gonna be totally honest.
Yeah.
I saw like a brief clip of Dean's funeral and like immediately erased it from my mind, shut down. I was like, I don't. And then it was in heaven when Bobby's like, Cass helped, and I was like, yeah, that part exists. So
I'm back. We're back online. Yeah, listen, if you liked the finale, that's great. I'm happy you're happy. I hated it so deeply.
Yes, this is not a finale loving space.
No, not at all. When I rewatch the show, I'm not going to rewatch that one. That's not where it ends for me. It ends at 19. I'll give it 19. Yeah. And we'll talk about, the effects of what happens and what it means for Dean and what it means for their houses and everything as we continue.
Yeah, because that's another thing. At least 20 gave us that. Like, they're still kicking, right?
They're still kicking, and I was.
They're still doing their Hufflepuff Gryffindor thing.
That's very true. I don't want to say in preparation for this episode, but in honor of this episode, Lauren had the idea of going and checking out that video, that famous in the Destiel fandom YouTube video. That's like the story of Dean and Cass. It's like
40 minutes.
It's like a 40-minute video by Dean's Banshee. Shout out on YouTube, and.
Thank you for citing your source.
Of course. I just watched it before we hopped on this call to record, and I'm pretty good with words, I can discuss things. I'm an English major, I'm an education major, word Charlie. But I can't. It's happening to me right now because I'm thinking about what I just watched and I'm thinking about Dean and Cass, and it's my
brain's getting hot.
My brain's hot, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how many of you out there feel this way about them. I'm going to wager a lot of you, because we haven't stopped trending and making it go canon again, and being, off our fucking rockers, which we're well entitled to. I like to say it is my God-given right to me by the Misha Collins tweet of 2013, the You're Not Crazy tweet, that I'm allowed to be this way.
Right.
And I will continue. Okay. And might I just add, the fact that man went back and found that tweet that night that 1518 aired and liked it. I'm like floored. We won, guys. We won. Do you get that, everybody out there? Do you get that, Lauren? We won.
I get it.
That's insane. We never won. We never win.
I know. We never. No, you're right. We never. No, I listened to so much. I endured so much.
Come on.
I can go all the way back to, oh my God, to drag this up, to early season 9 with the no-name CW executive who was like so adamantly against the fact that Dean could be anything but straight because it didn't serve the story.
Well, that's what prompted the Misha tweet.
Yes, it is. That is what prompted the Misha tweet. But that kind of thing happened all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
With people producers, people who worked on the show.
Media outlets. Everyone
was dragging us, different parts of the fandom, whatever.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're winning shipping polls against actual ships. Like,
yeah. Already canon ships, like, on the show, making
already
out.
Canon ships, or people who have, like, actually, sexually engaged somehow.
Sure.
Whereas, like,
there are clear
Dean
romantic pairings. We're out here beating, like, I don't know, like Captain Swan in, bracket polls. And Steric.
There was a big one.
Well, Steric's not romantically canon.
No, it was, but like it was more.
But it was huge.
Wasn't it? And it wasn't it more like explicitly, like they really queer baited.
I didn't watch. I'm not sure.
Okay, I didn't either. I'm just taking this from fandom things I've heard. But
yeah, I know. But I'm saying like you're saying too, we beat all of that. On a constant basis. We were like the most popular ship on AO3, the fanfiction website.
We still are. We have over 90,000 fan fictions about Dean and Cass.
To grasp, like, I really truly believe this. I've read fanfic for other fandoms and other shows. I think we have the best writers in the Destiel fandom. And that's
what happens by virtue of just writing so many too. Like, we're just gonna have good people.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to say it's it's a telling to how beautiful the story is that it's captured all these like very brilliant, talented minds and made people stick around for so long and feel so strongly about it, because it is a ship that deserves that kind of attention. We're not stopping, it's not like the show ended and we're gone and people have stopped writing fic or drawing art. It's the same level. And it's so damn good. I feel so lucky all the time, and I'm on social media and I'm on my like fan accounts going through it every day, I know I'm going to see something amazing. I'm going to see something funny. I'm going to see something from a very talented artist or writer. And I don't know that the train will ever stop. I mean, one day it might slow down.
Don't ever leave us. Just don't.
But it's a testament to all you guys out there, the creators who are just phenomenal, who have had our backs for how long has this been going on, man? 12 years Misha was on the show.
Yeah, 11.
And it's been
whatever.
12 solid years of just nonstop talent from you guys, if you're happening to be listening out there. So thank you for that. And Dean and Cass are in love, guys. Can you believe? I can't believe, but I do believe because I saw it happen. I don't know. My brain can't handle these two. There's no ship like it. I grew up liking a lot of different ships and being really deeply attached to a lot of characters. And nothing has kind of driven me this crazy continuously, like past the point of the show ending. I'm not getting off the train. I'm sorry. We're making a whole episode about it on our podcast. That's totally unrelated. Because we can't get off the train. We can't.
It's related. It's related. We're related, guys.
Well,
this isn't a...
I'm saying we've already done a supernatural episode and we found a way to make this fit.
But we didn't do these two together.
Nope. We did them separately.
Although we did talk about the other a lot when we were sorting.
Of course.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Rachel's right. I've actually only felt this way about one other ship, and it was Damon and Elena, and it was before I knew about Dean or Cass, and the Damon and Elena lasted a year and a half.
Well, and that's the other thing,
it's been 10 years. So,
and that's the other thing, too. Ask yourself, listener, if you're an avid Dean and Cass fan, think about the other ships that you've gone to bat for and you've been like really crazy about. Did they happen before or post Dean Cass? Because for me, they were all before. I had Buffy and Angel, and, I liked Buffy and Spike, too. I went pretty hard for them, and I was happy with that little trio being a thing. But I'm saying I had intense ships before this growing up, and this one hit me really hard. I mean, harder than like Harry Potter ships too. I was big on the Ron Hermione thing since I was like 9. I don't even know why. It was just something I wanted. And I read fanfic for them and all that, but nothing hit me this hard.
I really think it's because this one, it really did rake us over the coals, right? Like even now if I ship something, and I'm trying to think, and I haven't really gone as bad as I have for Dean and Cass. I've been like, I want these two together. And then the show puts them together, and I'm like, thanks. And then I move on with my life.
Where's the torture? Right. Where's the 10 years of painfully dragging me on social media, telling me I'm stupid, telling me I'm crazy? Where's the actors coming out telling me, like, I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. Where's the devastation that's matched with the knowledge that I'm right when I watch the actual show? Where is it?
Right.
It's not here. We'll never get it again.
It's a recipe for addiction.
It truly is. It's
a little like emotional abuse.
It's like gaslighting, isn't it? I feel like I'm having a moment here where I'm like, these son of a bitches gaslit me for 10 years.
But they did.
Oh my God.
I enjoyed all of it. So is it really?
I loved it.
Really? Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it so much. I went and watched that compilation video for 40 minutes and like cried my eyes out. I can't stop. Hurt me again and again. And you know what? We've picked 2 really great characters to be attached to because separately and together, they're just incredible characters.
Sorry, you've never seen John Oliver, have you? John Oliver, what do you mean? He does Last Week Tonight.
No, I mean, what do you mean? I've never seen him. Yes, I've watched the show.
Did you see the bit with that he was doing with was Ben Solo? What's his name? Get the actor's name.
Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver. Have you seen that bit? He's like so. He kept having a bit where he was basically sexually harassing Adam Driver. So he would like fall into like he'd be like, hit me with your car, you giant tank of manliness. Lick my toes. Okay. Yeah, but it was that specific tone of voice, and you just did that, and I just did it. Hit me harder, you stupid ship of man.
I want it. Drive the ship directly into. Run me over with the ship repeatedly. Don't stop now that the show is over. Bring it back. Reboot it.
Yeah, you
because it feels like the story is not over. And let me tell you something. The story is not over because these two. That's the kind of love that is truly eternal. That's not stopping. They're in heaven right now.
They're together. It's too early to get into. They're the only Dean and Cass in all of the universes who got to love each other. No, I'm not. It's too early to talk about it. We didn't even learn this until the last fucking season of the show. And they only gave it to us for like 4 episodes, only for 2 until he was dead. So.
Yeah. And they will literally be together forever. I don't know what other fans of ships can say that they know with complete certainty that their 2 people are literally spending eternity together. There's no end to it. The end has no end. Thanks, Alcal. I love you
now
if you're
that
listening.
You've heard this 20-minute intro, maybe.
It's worth it. Listen to me. This episode could be days long. Days long. Because you got to understand, it's been a driving factor. It's been a present force in our friendship for the entirety of our friendship. It's what started it. It's why we started being close, and why we have this podcast, and why we're on Twitter constantly, and why we have all these friends.
Yeah,
we
this
owe
show's
so
the
much
only
to Dean
reason
and Cass.
Rachel's on Twitter. We almost lost her 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I felt like they just weren't going to give me what I wanted, and I had a Gryffindor tantrum about it, and I was like, fuck y'all. I'm gone. And then they started doing some wild stuff. You know what got me? I'll tell you when we get to that season. We're going to go season by season. I'm going to tell you what really pissed me off. And then I'll tell you what brought me back. So let's get into it. Season 4.
Where the show starts.
Where the show starts.
Don't
Destiel.
They're not listening anyway. Nobody in their right mind would have gotten to this point if they're a Bros Only fan.
Get out of here. Just kidding. We love everybody.
Here, awesome. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, seriously. You can love multiple ships and enjoy multiple things. There's no we're not going to ship shame you. But if you are here, I assume you like Dean and Cass, because why'd you click it if
or
you
Cass.
don't? And why are you here 20 minutes in?
Yeah, we just gushed about him. So
yeah, come on now. So season 4, Castiel burst through the barn doors like a fashionista, like the dramatic bitch he is.
Arguably the best
turns
entrance
Dean on immediately.
Okay, let's talk seriously about this. So what are we?
Okay.
I don't think we have to go episode by episode through each season.
No, we don't. But he came in. Okay, there he is. All right, moving on. They're gay.
So that's
Is that what you want?
No, I wanted something like, what about season 4? So, okay. So, Dean was in hell. Cass pulled him out of hell. Cass was tasked with pulling him out of hell. That was the specific role he was given. And at this point in time, his community is heaven. It's the angels. That's where he belongs. Mm-hmm. He's a seraph. He's a strategist in heaven. They told him to go get the righteous man. He gripped him tight and raised him from perdition. That was what he did. It's what he tells Dean. When Dean asks who he is, that is how he defines himself, by the useful role that he played to heaven.
Owie.
So, and Dean isn't having that. He's like, no, what are you? He's not, I'm an angel. And, and it's the whole thing right away where Dean's like, angels don't exist. And like, why would an angel pull me from hell? And Cass immediately hits him right on the nose, right? Like, you don't think you deserve to be saved? Yeah, he got Dean Winchester immediately. That's the funny thing about Cass too. I just read this really awesome post that somebody did, maybe season 12, about Cass learning the language of Dean. And it's a really good post. Maybe we'll put it on the Twitter. And it's true, too, right? Dean speaks in slang, idioms, pop culture, it's all over the place. So Cass, who should know every language in the world, actually has to learn how to speak Dean, because these aren't things... Yeah. You have to have a lived experience in order to understand what Dean is saying. And Cass doesn't have a lived human experience. So he actually has to learn Dean. And that's one of the amazing things that I found about Cass, too, because he has a hard time understanding Dean's language, but he understands Dean almost right away.
Yeah, he understands how he works.
Yeah, and actually I think it's pretty amazing too. We had a really good, I think it was Haley, who you guys have seen on the show, said Dean lies with his words, not his actions. So I don't know. I just think that's a really interesting that Cass can't necessarily understand his words right away, but he immediately understands the essence of Dean.
And Cass just doesn't stop defining him throughout the seasons and clocking him left and right. I mean, it's nonstop.
Right.
He defines him to other people. He explains him. He
We've talked
gets
about
him.
this before with Hufflepuffs too, that even when Hufflepuffs have a hard time figuring out themselves, they're really good at clocking. We talked about this with Jacob. They're good at clocking where other people sit and where they belong. And he right away understands Dean. He understands his relationship to Sam, to how he works with Sam and how that unit works and what Dean's role in that unit is. He understands Dean's role to humanity at large and the people that he saves and the monsters that he hunts. He gets it right away. He knows exactly. He clocks Dean as a fellow soldier. The thing that he has issue understanding right away is that here's where different houses come in, is that they come at the same role in different ways. So yeah, totally. So actually this showed up, I think this was still season 4, that Cass is actually, it's when they're going to blow up the town, and it's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester, and then they don't do it because Dean gets them to stop. But Cass tells him that he's not totally sure what's right and wrong anymore. And it's because Cass was coming at it from, I'm a soldier, I do what my commander tells me to do. Uriel received revelation, we're supposed to blow up this town, this is what we do, this is my role in the community, it's how I'm useful. And then here's Dean with his Gryffindor ass coming in like, it's wrong to kill people. And who haven't done anything. So it's like they're coming at the same role from different experiences and directions and different motivations.
Yeah, they really are. And we were having a discussion about this where it's like, if you don't see Dean as a Gryffindor and Cass as a Hufflepuff, that's totally fine. Your reading of them is valid. This is all made up.
But we're right.
But we're totally right.
But
there's no other way to read it actually. If you see them in 2 different houses, you want to say Cass is a Ravenclaw for some ungodly reason and Dean is a Hufflepuff, fine. Okay. But you can't say they're both in the same house. You can say it, but don't say it to me because
for the specific characters.
Come on, like they look at every situation. They have to do the same thing. They have the same task, the same role. Save the people, save everything, stop the apocalypse, whatever it is. Shitty dads, and they come at it completely differently. They assess it totally differently. And you have to look at the motivation of characters when you're talking about sorting. That's the basis of it.
Yes, according to us.
So why are they doing what they're doing? And we're right. And how are they going about accomplishing this, right? And when you look at Dean and Cass's actions throughout every season, the how and the why, it's totally different. The houses can't match.
No, they're not in the same house. They can't. I would die over the houses I have them in. Like, I would fight to death right now over them. But if I were to, like, truly throw myself off a bridge over everything, it's that Dean and Cass aren't in the same house. Like... No, for sure. They aren't. They just aren't. They come at... That's part of the ship, that they're coming at the same thing from different understandings, from different points of motivation. They have different... They're applying different motivational mindsets to what they're doing and how they accomplish something. And you see that constantly. I don't want to jump ahead. That happens in season 6, though. But like, well, yeah. Well,
we'll get there. I mean, let's continue now.
Well, we made it to, so Cass is starting to have doubts, which happened very quickly. Actually, that was only episode 7.
He's an immediate simp. Guys. I can't take it. You watch this angel slowly fall in every single way. In every episode he's in, where he's standing next to Dean, you're watching the mask slip and you're watching him fall and become more and more human and more in love and more of a giant ass simp. It doesn't stop from the beginning. Hi, I'm Cass. My entire role in life is to save you and pull your ass out of hell. And now I'm going to perch on your shoulder and watch you while you sleep and make sure you never die. That's basically. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny to watch him too as he like peels away from the angels, because at the beginning, right, Uriel is following him around, and then at one point on Head of the Pin, I think, because Cass doesn't want to make Dean torture Alistair, because he understands what Dean went through in hell, and the guilt he's feeling, and how Dean feels like if he tortures again, he'll never stop, basically.
Right.
And he'll have these nightmares forever or whatever. And Cass tells him, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have you do this. And, you know, I would do anything to not make you do this.
I would do anything.
Yeah, I would do anything.
Are you
and that's
kidding
like,
me?
Head of the Pin's like, what, episode 16 of season 4?
Yeah.
So at this point already, Cass is like, Uriel's now my superior because I've been simping a little too hard. So
yeah, and he says it to him. He's like, I'm getting too close to the humans in my charge. I'm way too deeply in love with you.
He's like, you specifically. Because really, at this point, it's only Dean. Cass does not care about Sam at this point.
What's the season?
Sam is Demon Blood Boy.
Which season has the profound bond line? Is that 5?
It's 6.
6. Let's get to 6. I like season 6. Come on.
No, we're not on 6 yet. Calm down.
I can't.
So yeah, what? Well, no, because then at the end, they pull him back to heaven.
Yeah.
We didn't know it at the time, but to reprogram him.
Right.
That's when he says, I'm getting too close to the humans in my charge. So as a Hufflepuff, his original community literally has to take him and brainwash him because Cass is already... Here's the thing, too. Right now, they're working in the context of stopping the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. So Cass overall sees his usefulness as an angel to be stopping the apocalypse. That's what he understands is he's supposed to be doing. So that's what he sees his usefulness as, and he slowly gravitates closer to the Winchesters in doing this, just because. And it's Dean whispering in his ear too, right? Like, this doesn't have to be the way. We can do this the right way, like the not Dick Angel way, right? The not Dick Angel way is the way that we can do this. And Cass is being convinced by that.
Totally.
He definitely is. Dean is showing him a way that he can be useful in a way that is more appealing to Cass.
True.
In a way that I think Cass sees as not only the right way, but as Cass is a strategist. He sees it as the way that'll work.
Yeah.
So, and especially as it becomes apparent that Heaven isn't actually working against stopping the apocalypse, they're trying to start it. So, so what? Like, end of season 4, they reprogram Cass, and then almost immediately he's reprogrammed.
And Dean flips the switch.
Right, like
it's always Dean.
That is when he dies the first time, when he takes Dean to Chuck and Chuck says, I don't understand, you're not in this story. And Cass goes, we're making it up as we go, and Dean gives him that look. And that's something that he's heard from Dean, that you don't have to follow the script, that you can go in a direction that's better, that's good, that's right. Like, this is what's been pounded into Dean, that free will is something that you have. And he's been trying to convince Cass to use his. And Cass likes that.
And he likes that.
He likes that.
That line drives me insane because the show is so goddamn meta, and it's all so the irony of Supernatural, just the lines that are said within it, and the way the writers' room must have worked, and the way the fans have received and been fans of the show. It's all just such irony. Like, we're making it up as we go. That's it. That's the whole show. Nobody planned Supernatural with Dean and Cass in mind. And when they brought Cass on, they were not doing it with this intent.
Misha was only supposed to be 3 episodes, so 3 or 4.
And they made it up as they went for how many more friggin' years after that? Like, it's insane to think about. This is why we're crazy. This is why.
We're listing a lot of reasons why.
Well,
it all comes together.
Yeah, it really does.
So season 5. It's the apocalypse, baby.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Save the world.
Yeah. You want to talk about the end?
The end of season 5. Do you mean the end of season 5 or the episode?
The end where baby Dean sees future Dean.
That's an interesting one.
And how he treats future Cass.
Well, you see how deeply broken Cass is in general as he's fallen from grace completely.
How broken Dean is too, right?
No, totally. It's just, it's really interesting to look at it from Cass's perspective because he was just full on angel. This is not like there was we were going from season 4 to season 9, and you can see really big changes slowly developing Cass over time naturally, all because of Dean. It's like they failed, and Cass breaks so deeply that he becomes like a completely other person. But what stays constant is his loyalty and love for Dean. Like, he's having orgies, he's doing drugs, but
yeah, I think when Dean shows up, when the real Dean shows up at the camp, he asks Chuck, "Where's Cass?" Chuck's like, or he's like, "Is Cass around?" And Chuck's like, "Yeah, where would Cass go?"
Yeah, like, where else would he be?
Yeah.
And if that's not the constant of Castiel's character, I don't know what is. I mean, it's even in an alternate friggin' universe where the world has ended and there's no toilet paper and there's zombies and Cass is still like, yeah, I'm a little different now, but I'm still a humongous simp for this man. He's just, yeah, I'll go with you. Sure, yeah, we might die, but I'm going to die with you.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. This is just Cass. And that's season 5, guys. Think about that. Really think about that for a second. He's been there a total of 1.5 seasons by the time we get to that episode. Okay, and he's already like that in an alternate universe for Dean Winchester. A Dean Winchester who's so broken and ravaged himself that he's totally different. He behaves differently. He reacts differently.
He
he's
makes
more
it to
violent.
that point we talked about in the Sam and Dean episode where he pulls a gun on Sam, where Gryffindor gets to the point where they're he was like, killing Lucifer is literally the only thing. So everybody else who dies, it's in the service of rightness, basically.
Yeah, he broke. This is what happens when a Gryffindor breaks that deeply. It's very much and Dean is the righteous man. Let us not forget. How poetic for an angel to fall in love with a righteous man. I hate that. I hate this. I'm so affected emotionally by this.
Do you want to take an even cheaper shot? In that Castiel means shield of God and Dean is Michael's sword.
Are you kidding? Like, come on, shit.
Do you
want
to take an even cheaper shot in that the TL part of his name is what means of God? So when Dean calls him Cass, he's claiming him for himself.
Shut up. I can't. I'm not. You know what? You don't even have to look too deeply. It's all in the lore. It's all in the friggin' show. You made us this way. It's your fault, Supernatural. This is not our fault. Don't put this on us. Look at this ridiculous, poetic, beautiful shit. And it happened accidentally. It happened accidentally?
Yeah, somebody did by accident.
That's sick.
Sick.
This is sick. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're here. We're talking about it. I honestly, guys, I'm so...
Hannah, this is going to be longer than an hour
failing
and a
me
half.
again. Yeah, Hannah, it might be. Maybe we should go faster through the seasons. So, do you want to say anything else about season 5?
Yes. The fucking green room. Where Cass is still...
Of course, the green room.
Right. Where Cass is still on Heaven's side, kind of. And that's where Dean tells him there's a right and a wrong here, and he gets Cass to take him to the cemetery, basically, and to die for him. Cass dies for him there, and for his brother.
Without question.
Yeah.
All Cass is questioning in that moment is, should I betray everything I've ever existed for millennia?
Right.
Should I betray all that for you? And it takes him a minute, and then he's like, yeah, you're worth it.
Dean
you're definitely worth it.
What's right. Like, this is the right thing to do. And Dean is always so convinced of his rightness. Because also, I you know what, I missed it too. So they're keeping Dean from being Michael's vessel. They're keeping him on the run from Michael, and from not saying yes. Mm-hmm. And there's a one point where, and here's Dean too. Here's the Gryffindor paradox, where Dean's like, Dean has been fighting so hard with Sam and Cass to not say yes to Michael because that's going to kickstart the apocalypse and that's the wrong thing to do. But he falls into such a place of despair, and we're not doing anything to stop the apocalypse, and there's no point.
Despair.
Yeah, shut up.
Sorry.
And I'm useless, and I can't do anything, and I can't help in this fight. So what if I just say yes to Michael, and then it can be all be over. And Cass hears him calling for Michael and goes and beats his ass up. And he's like, I did this for you. Like, I rebelled for you. I did all of this for you, and this is how you repay me. Like, that's a huge thing too. This is a Hufflepuff that has been told that what they've been doing for millennia and millennia, their useful role within the system of life, is not right. Has not been doing the right thing, has not been leading to the right place, has not been serving humanity. And Cass genuinely likes humanity. He's an angel who genuinely likes humanity. He's been serving his role with the understanding that angels are helping humanity. And Dean's like, no, you aren't. I'm a human and I hate it. So it's wrong. And Cass is there beating his ass up. Like, you showed me that I actually am useless in the role that I'm playing. You showed me. And now you're going and you're giving up? Like, no, that's not how this works. I'm not going to let you. That's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard, that you would, like, Cass genuinely doesn't understand. He's like, what? No.
Yeah. And he reacts the way that he's watched Dean react. He beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, he does.
He's modeling some of his fallen behaviors after Dean Winchester.
You know what? I fucked up. The green room's in season 4. Sorry, that would have bothered me. So, season 6, he watched him rake leaves. Okay, that's getting a little too far ahead of myself. But it is a little too far. No, so Cass pulls Sam out of hell and he forgets his soul. But Cass also apparently pulls him out of hell and then like doesn't say to him and doesn't go visit Dean. He just goes off to do his little thing in heaven, his civil war. And Sam tells us that he's been calling for Cass constantly to understand what happened, and Cass isn't answering. And the first time Dean says, Cass, get the fuck down here, Cass appears.
He's like, oh, you think I came for you? Yeah.
He does. And Sam's like, what? So you like Dean better or something? And Cass is like, I wasn't going to say anything. But yeah, we do have a more profound bond. And Dean takes this in stride. He's like, all right, man, fine. We have a bond, but listen to Sammy too. Like, that's all he has to say about it. He's like, fine, whatever about our bond, but you got to answer Sammy when he calls too. And Cass is like, whatever, human. But, so Cass is, this is a tough season for Cass. I think this is truly his transition season, because this is truly where Cass, I think, has internalized Dean's lessons and tries to do them for himself.
Yep.
And I truly also think it's his evolution point. And Cass doesn't realize this, because what he's doing is, so okay, we've talked about this too. Hufflepuffs aren't really natural born leaders. They're totally fine wherever they're needed, basically. So they can be leaders. So Cass has been a cog in the angel wheel for billions and billions of years. And then the apocalypse fails and all the archangels are gone, and Raphael is left, and Raphael wants to restart the apocalypse. And Castiel is now at this point where his priorities are switched, and he's like, so now I know from Dean that humans don't want the apocalypse, so that's not going to happen. And also, if I stop Raphael, which I can only do by killing him, then heaven needs to run somehow. So I'll run heaven, I guess. I'll create this opposing army, and there will be a civil war, and we'll win, and the apocalypse won't happen, and Dean and Sam will be safe. And also at this point, I think the view is too that so here's the thing. I have always said that what Cass did is he had a community with heaven, and he slowly removed his house there and rebuilt it in Winchester land. And at this point in season 6, I don't think Cass sees himself doing that. I really think he thinks his time with the Winchesters is over. So he considers that he's just moving into this leadership position within the Heaven community.
Yeah.
Because really, he like goes down to the Winchesters for help, but he's like, I'm doing what Dean taught me. I'm doing the right thing, and I'll take over Heaven, and I won't need to bother them anymore. Basically, we're still like, we had a good time, we're friends, but I'm going to play my part in running Heaven after I've fucked it up in order to save humanity. So he pairs up with Crowley and is doing a baddie bad thing in the name of good, which is not the way that Dean sees it.
No, it's a very, very Gryffindor way that Dean sees this. It actually breaks him down to his very soul that Bobby could even say that I think Cass is playing us. It hurts him. You can see it. It's like the way Jensen plays it is unreal. He's like, come on,
Jensen
man.
Ackles is unreal.
You really think, yeah, for sure. He's like, you really think that? Come on. And Bobby's like, I hate myself for even saying it. And I'm like, shut up, Bobby. You don't. You're just seeing how bad this is affecting Dean right now. It breaks him. And this is a common thing we're going to see throughout the seasons where Cass is a little bit off. Dean just knows. He just knows. He doesn't want to believe it. But when he picks up on it, he's like, oh, shit. Because he knows that little angel. Okay. And again, I just want to point out, we're only in season 6. And this is the ridiculous level of shit we've reached at season 6. Okay. This is insanity. This whole point where he makes the deal with Crowley and watches his ass rake leaves. And then Dean comes in and he's like, we trust you. Like, come on, you're our guy. We would never. And then
he says, we're family. You're like a brother to me. He's like, next to Bobby and Sam, you're the closest thing I have to family.
Yeah. And he means it.
And that's the first time he says it to Cass. Yeah. That's the first time he says it to Cass. He means it. And you can tell Cass is like surprised by that. Because Cass's eternal, consistent problem is going to be that he can't really see. And actually, this is the sad thing, too, is that once he loses his place in heaven is really when he starts to struggle with it, when he's moving into the Winchester space, is that he can't understand after the things he's done, how he can be useful and how anybody could want him there. And I think I truly believe this season 6 is this huge transitional space for Cass, because I think that's where that starts creeping in too, that he is trying to do what Dean taught him and he does it wrong. And he makes Dean distrust him and he breaks Sam's wall all in the name of what he thinks is good. And then he's like, how can you accept me here now after what I've done? Which is interesting, too, because he does, like, he misbehaves in heaven, but he never questions his role there. And I also think that's a case of heaven having given him his role. And this is why Cass is all the way on the other end of our Hufflepuff scale. Heaven having given him his role, and then him actively trying to move into a role with the Winchesters and trying to show them how he can be useful to him. And it's just such an issue for him. But yeah, I mean, Dean comes to him and is like, Cass is like, this is the only way. And Dean's like, no, we would have figured it out like we always do. There's always another way. And like, Cass is like, where were you when I needed to hear this? And Dean's like, I was here. Where were you? And that's like so Gryffindor too. Like, no, we'll just figure out another way.
Right.
There's
and
not
other brains don't work like this, Dean. Other brains don't work like this, Dean.
No, they don't.
And Cass is a very special kind of brain. He doesn't have the human capacity to look at you and understand you're this particular breed of dumbass who thinks this way. So it's hard for him. And Dean's like, I'm here. I will always be here. I've always been here. Your family. That's what family is. And it's all these sorts of things click for both of them in that moment. Dean has, trouble with it after the fact, like he always does. But they get back together. The band gets back together after the fact, regardless. Yeah,
it's really tough. I mean, so season 7 should be theoretically easier to talk about.
Sure.
Because Cass is in like 6 episodes. But he walks into the lake, the reservoir or whatever, and Dean carries his trench coat around in different cars.
Yep.
For 15 episodes. And we were talking about this earlier, how much we forget that this show gave us. But Dean has nightmares about Cass walking into the water and not coming back out. And Sam has a line where he says something's up with Dean and I don't understand. It's like he's just going through the motions. Dean's depressed. He lost his best friend. And that's just like a very Gryffindor, like I've said this a million times before too, but Gryffindors have responsibilities, and Dean Winchester, more than any other Gryffindor, sees people as his people that he claims and are his family are his responsibility.
Yeah.
So last season he's called Cass his family, and then Cass walked into a reservoir and is now gone forever. And Dean's sitting here having been so furious at Cass for not coming to him. But now Cass is gone, and Dean's furious at himself that Cass didn't come to him. He's like, I could have helped. I could have done something. And it's somehow my fault that I didn't know this was going on and that Cass didn't come to me. Because he also says, too, in season 6, no, it's Cass. It's Cass's voiceover in Man Who Would Be King. He's like Dean fighting his gut. He knows, fighting it in order to believe that I'm not doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Dean knows, and he's fighting it in order to see the best in Cass.
He can't not now, right? Because this is the way the Gryffindor mind works once you've gotten that responsibility under your belt. He can't let it go. He's not going to be okay after the fact because Cass isn't around to yell at and call a dumbass, so he must internalize it because Dean always intrinsically believes that everything is his fault.
He must internalize
He has to. And Cass doesn't come to realize this until a little bit later. But this is true of Dean all the way to the end of the show. And you see it with him from the beginning to the end with family. If you are family, he's not going to let your death go. The actions that led to it, what it means for him, it affects him so hugely. And it's shaped him from when he was 4 years old, from when everything begins. So now that Cass is part of this, Cass is part of him. That's it. Point blank, period. So now he's got to deal with this. And Sammy's like, he's fucked up. I don't know what to do. And Dean's all, I don't care that I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's a mini grief arc, right? Because we're still early enough in repressed Dean years that he's like, you know, he just told Cass he's family. He's not really there yet.
No.
In the love sense, but in the Gryffindor sense, yeah. And oh my gosh, you just said that too. Like, he must internalize it. And I'm just thinking, we'll get into this more when he actually starts to show us in the sense that the camera actually films this happening. But we know through context clues, through Dean and Cass saying it, that Dean is praying to Cass.
Yeah, he is.
So, and we get to hear some of these prayers, and they're so it's the Gryffindor paradox again, because he's yelling at Cass, but he's also making sure to blame himself while he yells at Cass.
Yeah, because anything that his people do wrong is his fault somehow.
Right. So he's yelling at Cass and like screaming at him and getting it all out, but he's also giving Cass he's blaming himself as well. And it's so crazy. But yeah, so like end of season 7 and they find Emmanuel who does not remember he's Cass. And Dean gets a little bit out of his frustration out about his friend Cass, who is a stranger to Emmanuel. And Cass, even as Emmanuel, is still a Hufflepuff.
Oh, yeah.
So he woke up in this woman found him naked and woke him up, and he found out that he has this power to heal people, and he immediately makes that his entire identity.
Yeah.
Like, that's his role. He needs something to do. He needs something to play. He's a healer. He heals people. This man shows up at this door. There are demons. Dean's like, my brother's sick, and Cass gets in the car with him after this strange man has murdered people with black eyes who tried to kill him and his wife. Gets in the car with him and is like, let's go fix your brother. Yeah. So still a Hufflepuff.
And let's not just skirt over the fact that Daphne Allen's name.
Oh my God, don't even cuddle this.
I'm going to.
In our logical podcast.
Just look at it for a second, and I want you to write out the name Daphne Allen and circle the first and last letter in her first and last name, and just tell me what it spells.
This is an attempt at a pseudo-academic podcast. So
I don't care. I don't care. This is what contributed to my crazy, so you know what? The people have to know. I didn't say it. I just told them how to spell, what to look for in the spelling. I didn't say anything. Anyway.
Who wrote that episode? Wait, I'm going to look it up now.
Good question.
Keep talking. I want to see what writer did that to us.
I wonder if it's Bobo.
No, he was too early. I would have been maybe. Yep. Hang on. I'm looking it up. Keep talking.
All right. So coming to this point now, you see Cass go and have his whole flashback, right? He breaks through and he remembers everything. And what does Castiel, the eternal angel of the Lord, who's experienced life for, as we've said, a millennia, what are all of his memories? All of them are Dean. How I've let Dean down, how I broke Dean's trust, what I did to Sam, and how that hurt Dean. Everything comes back to Dean. The whole time, this is all Cass can think about. This is all, Like, as the memories flood back, it's all one man. Mm-hmm. That's insanity.
For a billion-year-old angel?
Memory?
Yeah.
You don't have another memory, Castiel. Yeah. Not one?
For a billion-year-old angel. Yeah, you know. And then what is it? He wakes up and he wants to apologize. And Dean's like, no, you're plain sorry. Like, he immediately gets to be mad at Cass again because Cass is alive.
And he's like, yay, I get to be angry. And he's so happy about it. And he heals through this. Because this is what Gryffindors do.
But he also, like, he tears Cass down a bit. Because Cass is at his low point for a Hufflepuff. Mm-hmm. Low point. He failed. He tried to make a role for himself. He tried to do what Dean taught him. He thought he was doing good. He tried to be useful. He fucked heaven pretty badly. He let Leviathan out into the world. He betrayed the Winchesters. He made Dean very sad at him and mad at him. He failed. He's at a low point for a Hufflepuff. And what is his response to that? His response is to disconnect. It's to go from useful to no, not at all. Not even going to try. There's nothing. There's nothing that so he's sitting in a mental hospital. He's playing board games. He's playing Twister. He's asking people to pull his finger. He took on Sam's hell memories. So that's kind of like what they're going with. Like, he's crazy Cass. But, you know, you can tell that, like, yes, maybe it's a little bit, but it's not. This is Cass disconnecting. This is a Cass who doesn't know why he doesn't have anything to do. He doesn't have a usefulness. He failed. He thought that he was useful in these ways. In each of those ways, he failed, and he hurt people, and he destroyed his home, and he destroyed the world. And so it's just a complete disconnect. And Dean tells him, he's like, you're not sorry. You're plain sorry.
Right. And once again, Dean's giving him the tools to cope with something because Cass doesn't have them yet. So he's learning how to cope and how to deal through Dean again.
It's really, so Rachel was like, this is helping Dean. And I was like, well, it tears Cass down a little bit. And it does, but it also helps Cass.
It does. This is what he needs.
Dean is, and here's where people, like, these are the moments when people are like, Dean's, like, awful. He's such a bad, like, this is, like, he's so mean and awful, and he's mean to Cass. And I understand why Cass puts up at it. But Dean, like, sees Cass, and he sees what his issue is, and he's like, yeah, you know what? You are kind of freaking useless. Like, you fucked up. That is kind of useless. And then it's the line, and people always cut this line because they always go, I'd rather have you cursed or not. But he actually starts it with bottom of the ninth, nobody else on the bench. I'd still rather have you cursed or not. So he's not saying, people make it the romantic, and it is. People make it the romantic line, though, like, you're broken, and I still, like, he says that to Cass, too. He's like, nobody cares that you're broken, Cass.
Right.
And people make it like, he's saying that he still wants Cass. And, like, he's not really. He's saying there's nobody else left.
Right.
But with nobody else left, you have a role here. You have some, and I need you right now.
Right.
So he takes Cass, and they go to kill Dick Roman in Purgatory. And Purgatory's fun. Isn't Purgatory fun? I just want to say right now too, as I really enjoy talking through this because I've just realized that this is that line, the we need you off the bench, the yes, you're useless, but when there's nobody else around, you're useful. This is the kickoff to Dean building up to saying, I need you.
It is.
Because he does it the first time in Purgatory. So here we go.
Here we go, baby.
Here we go.
Now we know their history. Let's get into the
love them.
Juicy meat.
This Hufflepuff. This could only be a Hufflepuff and a Gryffindor. Okay.
Now, I gotta tell you, this is the point where I started watching live, was season 8. And I came in the same way Lauren did, in that I heard that there was this amazing couple, and I was like, oh shit, let me get some of that. Look at these dudes. I need to know what's going on here. And I was so blown away by season 8 that it inspired me to go to Twitter and find someone who ended up being Lauren, because I needed to talk to someone about this season and about what happened in this finale. Like, I couldn't get my brain off of it, because season 8 is I love season 8. I'm really sorry if you're listening and you don't. I love season 8.
I was so surprised to see people didn't love season 8 because I always considered season 8 the beginning of overt Dean and Cass.
Me too.
And I think, we all have opinions. I think this is where Cass started to realize maybe Dean
this is when
meant something a little more to him.
Because it's like I said before, you're watching the slow progression of his fall. So he comes a little bit closer to it every season. And I'm not going to go out and say that either of them knew that they were in love in 4, 5, and 6. That's just not my opinion.
No. Well, and here's though, if I'm saying now, talking through this, that season 6 was his transition point, and then season 7 was the breakdown, teardown. Season 8 can only be the start to rebuild, and his rebuild was obviously into the Winchester group.
Yes.
So
that's
and his entry point is Dean. So
yeah, it's always Dean. God, I actually hate them. Oh my God, this is doing something to my brain, man. This is chemical. All right, season 8, Purgatory. Where to start?
I don't even know.
Because it's out of order, right? You're seeing.
Yeah, you are. You see Dean out right away. That's the premiere. He gets out of Purgatory, and so you see Purgatory through Dean's flashbacks, because he remembers Purgatory.
Sure he does.
He does. Dean loved Purgatory. We talked about this in the Dean Sam episode, that he, was all like, it was a really scarring experience for me, except when you really push him about it. He's like, I really loved it. He's like, it was, and it's shameful to admit that because it's fucking Monsterland where you survive by killing people, and, it's like survival mode 24/7 that you're hunting and killing, and that's what Purgatory is. That's how you live there. And Dean's like, when that's all there is, he doesn't have to worry about people.
This is a Gryffindor thing.
Yes, he wasn't worrying. His goal in Purgatory was to find Cass. Cass disappears off the bat, and actually Dean doesn't know why. He doesn't know that it's Cass's choice. He is worried for Cass. And this is so funny too, that this like switch flipped where he was like, nobody cares that you're broken. And then his friend's gone. And he's like, where's the angel?
Gryffindor.
I can't leave Purgatory without my angel. So,
What a fucking Gryffindor. Please.
He tears through Purgatory looking for Cass. That is what he's doing. He teams up with Benny, a vampire, a monster, who he clicks with right away. We've talked about this too, how Dean has this evolution and transition of going from black and white John Winchester kill every monster mode to Sam's influence and Cass's influence just by virtue of being a supernatural creature.
Right.
To going to, I assess monsters like people, and I connect them to people I like. And if that works out for me, then they're okay. So Benny immediately clicks for him. I think Benny also immediately clicks for him because, one, he has a way out of Purgatory, but two, Dean's like, we got to find the angel. And Benny's like, sounds gay. I really want to get out of Purgatory. So we'll find your dumbass boyfriend so I can get the fuck out of here. But, so he's running around trying to find Cass and praying to him every night, asking him where he is. And he has to hunt Cass down. So these are his flashbacks when he's when he's topside, that he not only lost Cass, but then found him, but then didn't get him out.
Right.
Cass is not with him. And he tells Sam that he doesn't. Sam says, so Cass is dead. And Dean's like, I saw enough. And Sam's like, but did you see him die? Like, maybe we can still get. And Dean's like, I saw enough. And that's the end of it. He's like, I failed. Because, it, like, Purgatory is all pure or whatever, and he's not responsible for anybody. But then he was responsible for getting Cass out of Purgatory. And he fucked that up.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
According to his fucked up paradoxical brain. Yeah, that's what happened. But what really happened is that it wasn't Dean's fault at all. Shockingly.
It wasn't.
He can't cope with that either.
We were talking about this before the podcast and I was like, I should save this for the podcast. And of course I'm going to forget everything I said now. But he created a false memory where he made it his fault that Cass didn't get out. Because what actually happens is he's holding on to Cass's hand and Cass lets go. Because Cass in Purgatory, and here's the Hufflepuff thing too, right? Where Cass has had his downfall and his failure and had Dean tell him, and and this is just stupid Dean too, telling him, yes, you are useless, but he didn't finish it and go, sometimes, right? Everybody's useless sometimes. Dean's like, yeah, in this moment you're useless, and he's like, yeah, he'll get it.
Dean
and Cass
doesn't
is an
realize.
angel. Yeah, Cass is an angel.
This is where I gotta go to bat for Dean. Dean doesn't realize he's Cass's human life coach.
I know. He doesn't realize Cass is an angel, so he doesn't understand humans. And then on top of that, Cass is a Hufflepuff who built his entire identity around being useful. And we were talking about this. Dean is a Gryffindor who expects to fail people.
Yes.
So he tells Cass, yeah, you've been useless. And like, he doesn't elaborate in this instance at this point. When Cass goes and helps him with Dick Roman, it's immediately forgotten for Dean. He's like, yeah, you did it. Like, you're good now. And Cass doesn't realize that. So Cass is sitting in purgatory, purposely staying away from Dean because the Leviathan are after Cass. And he doesn't want them to also go after Dean. So he's staying away from Dean. So, and it's like Dean all over again. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to go back to season 6, but we talk about this so much too, because people they pick a side. They're like, oh, I'm mad at Dean, or oh, I'm mad at Cass. And like, you don't understand. Like, you don't understand what's going on here in their brains. Like, Dean is thinking, I can help you with another option no matter what. Like, no matter what, we can do something that is not this. And right. Cass is thinking, this is the only way. So Cass is doing that again. He's like, this is the only way. I can stay away from Dean. If I can be useful in one way, this is the way. I can stay away from Dean and I can make sure he's not dead. And Dean finds him and is like, I don't like that. Because here's the thing with Dean also, don't leave me.
Exactly.
You need to stay with me. You need to be within my line of sight because I am responsible for you and I care for you. And if you're not within my line of sight, then I am emotionally bereft somehow. So don't leave me. And Cass isn't understanding that because Cass's thought is that if I can be useful in leaving you, obviously that's what I'll do. Or I'm going to leave you first before Dean tells me after just telling me that I'm useless.
It hurts because it applies to season 15. It hurts.
I know. We're not there yet. We're on season 8. But
dude,
so he's
we
like,
gotta go.
He's like, I'm staying away from Dean. Whatever. I'm staying away from Dean. So Dean shows up and he's like, that's dumb. I want to be around you. We're getting out of purgatory together. I want you. He says, I need you, Cass. And like I said, this is the first time he said, I need you, Cass. And it started with him saying, I want you on my team. You're the only, even if you're the only guy around, but I still want you on my. So he was saying, you're the only option. That's why I want you. And now he's explicitly saying, obviously there are other options. I could have left purgatory. I need you, specifically you. You are the one I want. And this is going to be the theme for the rest of Castiel's life, that he's not getting this. He's not getting.
And I don't think that Cass. Obviously, Cass definitely didn't know this while he was in purgatory. He thought Dean's probably still mad at me and whatever. And Dean, it's completely forgotten. He hits the ground running and he's just like, I need to find him.
Instantly forgotten. When Cass is gone, he's like, where's Cass? But no. And this is going to be the bane of Castiel's rest of existence, that he doesn't understand that Dean doesn't need someone like him, someone who can do the same things as him, a Cass-shaped person. He needs Cass.
Yep.
And Cass is having trouble with that. So when Dean tries to get him out of purgatory, Cass is the one who lets go, because now he's really like, all I do is fuck up Dean Winchester's life. Yep. And it's better for him if I don't go with him, which was not discussed with Dean, who would have thrown a hissy fit. So
communication.
So he lets go, and Dean creates a false memory that says it was his fault. He was the one who dropped Cass. So, I mean, I don't even know if it matters to the fact that he's a Gryffindor that he starts hallucinating Cass and Cass shows up for him, whatever. But so when Cass is finally back and all cleaned up and Dean confronts him and is like, listen, I'm sorry I failed you. Cass is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Dean's like, I let you go. He's like, and here's the thing too. Here's a case of Dean getting mad but blaming himself while getting mad. He's like, I didn't leave you. I did everything I could. I did the best that I could. And Cass is like, why do you think that you left me? He's like, I let go of you. And it's crazy. Dean expects, Dean is responsible for everybody that he cares about. But at the same time, he expects to not be able to do it. And that's just Dean Winchester. But he expects to not be good at it. Here's the weird paradox again, too. He knows he's good at taking care of Sam, but ultimately, he expects to fail at it somehow. He expects Sam to leave him. He expects Sam to not appreciate it. Like, he expects to fail at his responsibilities. So his brain protected him by showing him the image that he expected. That it was like, you were the one that failed in this case. Yeah. And it's Cass coming to him and saying, no, I let go. And this ultimately hurts Dean more because Cass chose to leave him. And this is where Cass says, you can't save everyone, my friend, though you try. And that's like the antithesis of Dean Winchester's life.
Isn't it just?
Like, of course, and that's why he hurts himself so much, because he's like, it is my responsibility to save the people I decide to save. So when he doesn't, it's a failure. And that's why he's like, I'm a failure, because he cannot, and especially with the amount of people Dean puts himself responsible for in the situation that it is, that monsters are going after them or whatever, he can't save everyone. And here's miscommunication on the other side, where Dean didn't go all the way and tell Cass, you're only useless in this moment. Cass doesn't go all the way and go, it's okay to not save. He doesn't think it needs to be said, because he doesn't understand how Dean feels about him. So he just says, you can't save everyone. And Dean hears, got it, I'm a failure. Like, I can't do it. I can't save everyone. And Cass is saying, like, sometimes people don't want to be saved, or there's others there, and they're both just so stupid.
They're incredibly dumb.
And this is where
it made so much more. It makes sense to Cass for him to look at it through a lens of, Dean just wants to save everybody, so he feels bad because he didn't save another person, me. No, it's because it's specifically you that this really deeply bothered him this much. And Dean is all, you would never leave me, right? Except that you totally would. Except that you didn't, right? You didn't. It's my fault. Is it my fault? It has to be my fault, right? Because you wouldn't willingly leave. Why would you do that? And then come the insults, and then come the rage, and then comes the fits.
Why would you leave after saying that I need you? Except I totally expect you to believe after saying that I need you. Like, I've revealed feelings to you, and obviously you hate them, so of course you'd leave. But why would you say that after I told you that I need you? Why would you do that?
Right.
And Cass doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the specificity of it being him, because he sees life by way of usefulness. And Dean just told him he was useless, and he sees himself as useless right now. So then he gets called back to heaven and is being brainwashed, and Dean knows there's something wrong. And Cass feels at least a little bit like he's getting a role again. He's being useful to heaven again. Until Naomi starts with her shit and screwing nails into his head and making him kill a million versions of Dean Winchester. And Cass is, I can't hurt Dean. She literally has to train him to do it.
I can't.
She has to train him to be able to do it. And he still doesn't do it when it comes down to it. And here's the second time that Dean says, I need you. And I feel like, as much as Dean Winchester can, without outright saying it, he tries to be more specific about it. He says, we're family. We need you. I need you. And that breaks the connection. And dumbass Dean Winchester's like, what broke the connection? And Cass is like,
what could it possibly be?
Staring at the tablet, like glaring dagger out, like, I don't know. I don't know what I don't want to know.
And Cass is like, shit.
It's like, I
what
don't
just
know.
Unlocked in my brain?
He's like, I don't know. I'm gonna leave now.
I gotta go.
He's like, something is happening in my brain that is not angelic, and I don't understand it. But I feel like it doesn't belong here in my brain, and I'm gonna leave now.
And Dean is all, yeah, just fuck off again.
Yeah,
right, like you always do.
It's like, beat my ass, and then he left Sam. And Sam's like, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, what, like my feelings? And Sam's like, if that's what you want to talk about. And Dean's like, no, I don't have anything to say about it. And he's like, all right, okay.
Why would he?
Why would he want to talk about that? About Cass not killing him after he says, I need you.
Look at just the journey of... it's so stupid, the journey of watching them try to speak each other's language because they don't complete their thoughts in sentences and they just never say what they fully mean.
What's so stupid about this ship too is that they understand each other so implicitly, but they never say it explicitly. Like they never you'll hear to each other.
No, you'll hear Cass explain Dean to Jack later so succinctly and so
Sam.
great. But
and I think that's why Sam and Jack are so confused too. They're like, how are these like how is this not connecting to them?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And you can't say it to either of them because Cass will poof and run away and Dean will punch his car and say, don't talk to me about my feelings, Sam. And that's it. You can't talk to them. They can't talk to each other except they talk to each other perfectly. They drive me and each other crazy and I can't take it. Oh my God. And we're just at season 8.
It's like even like, so they're not like, they don't finish their thoughts. But then on top of that, the other one has so much self-doubt. So Cass could, he knows Dean Winchester is bad at emotions. So he could understand that Dean's not saying you're useless all the time or that I need you means specifically him and not somebody who has Cass abilities. Like, he should be able to understand that because he understands Dean, but he has so much doubt about his own worth as a person who provides goods and services to the people that he cares about. Like, I don't know. That's what.
Yeah, no, it's like, they take whatever the most negative connotation of it is that they can apply to themselves and they run with it. They're like, oh, useless? Yeah, absolutely I am. You're totally right. I thought this the whole time. Dean's like, oh I failed you? Completely. That's exactly what happened. I'm going to create a scenario where that happened.
They like reverse Occam's razor themselves. They're like, Cass is like, I could take this to mean that Dean needs me because that's what he said. But how could he possibly need me when I have no use to him? And then like that's the end of it. That's the end of it. Or like
this is their whole goddamn relationship.
or Cass is like yeah, you can't save everyone, my friend. And Dean's like, he could mean in the sense that like Cass didn't let me save him and like and you know that's what happened and it was to keep me safe. He's like, or I could take it to mean that I fail every single person that I come into contact with that I ever care about, that he actually says out loud to Cass. And then here's where it goes crazy, too, that he says this to Cass, like he actually expresses what it is he's thinking and the doubts or whatever. And to Cass, he's like, this is so stupid, I won't even respond. But Dean actually thinks that. And Cass is just like, what a ridiculous thought for Dean Winchester to have. He's perfect. So,
he's so great.
So...
Oh my God! When you talk about love languages,
like Cass is an angel. He doesn't have feelings. He doesn't need this stuff from me. So, we do talk about love language. We do.
Just talking of their love languages, just create a new tier that's just idiot. That's it. They both speak that fluently, but still can't communicate to each other. I can't deal with it. Like, it's so stupid looking back. Just talk. This is why I'm so into the miscommunication trope. Because of them. That.
You're like, just talk. And they do genuinely do sometimes, but it's it's because they're so Hufflepuff or so Gryffindor that like they can't understand because that gets in the way of the conversation that they're having. I just said, Dean spoke plainly. You just want me to. You just want me to feel like I failed, like I fail every godforsaken thing I care about in this world. And Cass like does not respond to that because he's like, I don't get it.
Well, and what season is it where Cass just flat out they're sitting on the bed in the motel room and Cass like tells him straight up what he's thinking. It's like really dark, depressing thoughts. And Sam walks in and this conversation just never gets picked up again.
Cass sits him down. And I also love this scene because it's another moment where, and it's the most earnest that Cass does this. He says this a lot, but Dean's like complaining about sleeping or whatever, and Cass is like, "Well, I'll watch over you." And it's so
cute.
earnest. The look on Misha's face,
so
he got it so good. But Cass sits him down and is like, I destroyed heaven. This is really Cass's low point, but it's all like a continuous.
It's a slow decline because of Dean, and this is what happens.
It's like it's continuous, and it's continuous to his not feeling useful, and he's still in that in between place where he feels like he should be going back to heaven, and he's not actually. He's moving towards the Winchesters. But he sits Dean down, and he's like, after what I did with the Leviathan, and after what I did to heaven, I've considered killing myself. Like, what is the point of me being here? And Dean doesn't get a chance to answer because Sam walks in, and it's just over with. Like, it's not.
It's done.
It's done. And yeah, and there's just so much to unpack there with, like, well, what would Dean have said, and what is Dean thinking in the sense that he's like, there's no way Cass has fucked up nearly as much as I have, and I am still like I'm still here. So even though Dean has probably had those thoughts as well, but and it's also, God, now that I'm thinking about this too, Dean fucking Winchester is probably sitting there like, I wouldn't kill myself because of Sam, and Cass feels like he can kill himself while he's gonna leave me, like, you know. So, but yeah. So, crypt scene happens. All that wasn't the desk, Hannah. I hit my leg. And then we get.
Then the angels
fall because Metatron shows up and gives Cass the opportunity to fix what he fucked up. He gives him a role again. He says, Castiel, you are the only angel that can do this. You are the only one who can help me. You can help me close heaven. And heaven can heal, and the world will be safe from angels, and it'll all be fixed. And Cass is going to do it. He sits down at the bar and has a conversation with Dean, and Dean's like, so this is another fucking conversation thing. Dean's like, so E.T. goes home, you're going to lock yourself up in heaven, and Cass is like, yep. And you can tell all the thoughts that Dean Winchester's having about that, and they don't discuss them at all. Cass is like, this is what I have to do to fix what I fucked up. This is the role I have to play now. This is the service I can provide. And it's helping heaven and the Winchesters, right? Because it's closing off the angels from Earth. And he's like, this is what I've got to do. And at the same time, Sam is working through closing hell. So he's like, Dean will be fine. Dean won't have anything to worry about anymore. And I don't need to be here fucking up his life even more. And Dean Winchester's sitting here like silently dying. But Cass also does some things that like aren't super great. He kills a Nephilim, which isn't we talked about this in the Cass episode. Cass is a fairly ruthless Hufflepuff. He will kill people in order to be useful, to fulfill his space, to.
Useful to who?
Well,
no,
yeah,
I'm kidding. It's not always to Dean.
Not. Well, yeah, like sometimes it's heaven. He's still, and
it's Dean adjacent.
Right, but that's always the thing. I said this in the Cass episode, that it's the thing that I find interesting about Cass too. As you see him fall, you can see him moving from heaven to Winchester's, but you can always see the thread that pulls on him when the angels come calling, and he's like, maybe I can still be useful to them while also being useful to Dean, and it just doesn't work out that way because the angels are like, what are you doing with this filthy mud person? Right? And he's like, well, no. Okay, so season 9. You're trying to
what the hell happened in season 9?
Season 9 is Metatron and
Listen, the end of season 9 is what we need to talk about. Metatron's little speech to him.
Well, no, the beginning of season 9 is important too because Dean kicks Cass out of the bunker.
Well, it is because of the praying.
He kicks Cass out of the bunker, and then he's a human.
And there's the whole thing with April where he cradles his face and tells him not to die again.
This is it's my opinion, and I think it's Rachel's too. This is where Cass realizes that funny feeling that he had is love when he's a human. And he's
110%.
Like, fuck. He says, fuck. And then he lives with it for 6 more years. Knowing what it is as an angel, which is hard enough probably. But
I think it's so interesting that that's when we saw it connect to, like we saw it click in that season, and then Metatron verbalizes it.
Yeah.
At the end.
So Dean kicks him out of the bunker for Sam. Which, he does what he can.
It is what it is. He's got to do what he has to do to save his brother, who I view him as viewing more as a child. And as a mom, I understand this.
He gives Cass money. He gives him clothes. Cass gives all his money away, which is really sweet, to a homeless lady. But I also think I'm gonna defend Dean a little bit here. I really think he tries hard not to think about the fact that Cass is essentially a child. He's a grown man. Of course, he can go off and be fine. And he's trying really hard not to think about the fact that Cass doesn't know what the fuck is going. Like, he doesn't know anything.
Yeah, and the little voice in the back of his head that's worried about that is what makes him go to the gas and sip and track him down.
Yeah, well, and he tracks Cass down before that. He's been keeping an eye on him. Like, he's been, so, and trying to call him. But yeah, so he goes to visit Cass, and Cass is extremely obstinate about it. Like, I don't need you. You threw me out. And Dean's extremely obnoxious about it. And it's because he's trying to convince himself Cass is okay.
Yeah.
And it's because Cass didn't leave him. He made Cass leave. So Cass has to be okay. This can't be a case where Dean takes it on and goes like, oh, Cass is fine without me. Since it's his fault, literally, that Cass had to leave, Cass has to be okay for Dean to be okay. Because if Cass is sleeping in the storage closet of the gas and sip, Dean's in real trouble here.
Yep.
Because look what you did. So I mean, that's a whole thing. It's like, oh, Cass has a really long low point, doesn't he?
Of course.
He's still, because here's the thing about Cass too, we talked about this too, is that he so constantly, once he meets Dean, tries to do good, but he does it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't. And he learns that from the Winchesters.
Oh, yeah.
But somehow Dean is always still self-righteous about it. But I know, it's ridiculous. But what Kane and Colette.
Kane and Colette. Let's get to the...
I was like, what is even next?
Let's get to the Kane and Colette shit.
That's mid-season 9 when Dean takes the Mark of Cain, and the first time he sees Cass rips his arm out, turns it over, throws his sleeve up, and goes, what did you do?
Yeah, and Dean immediately on the defense rips it back. I didn't do nothing, I didn't do shit.
I didn't do anything. It's fine. It's when we need to kill Abaddon. It's fine. Kane and Colette. I think Kane and Colette is when larger fandom community caught on.
I think so. They never cast Abel.
Because we screamed.
They didn't cast an Abel. Are you kidding?
Shut up. We screamed so much about this. We were like, why would they do this? Why would they make Cain have a romantic parallel? And then the show explicitly parallels Colette to Cass. You can't even be a Brothers fan and be like, no, or not even a Brothers fan, a Sam and Dean in a romantic relationship fan, or a Brothers fan, I guess, and go, no, Colette is the Sam parallel. The show
told you
as
otherwise.
As much as the show can, without hitting you over the head, tells you that Colette is a Cass parallel, just in everything they do.
And just as a side note, Jared Padalecki told you to at a convention, if you care to Google that.
if you follow that sort of thing.
Who does? Not me, not I.
But yeah, so Colette was Cain's love, and she loved him despite the fact that he had the mark and that he was murdering people, and all she asked him to do was stop. And the show was like, this is what Cass is to Dean. And
the show was like, make Cass do exactly that right now. And then he did.
And Cass was like, I've been doing this already. But, or more, well, yeah, and Misha Collins, too, was like, I've been doing this already. But yeah, so as a Hufflepuff, Cass's role when Dean took on the mark was to accept. And here's the thing, too, about Cass, is that he somehow grasps the fact that Dean's motivations aren't his. If he was speaking in Hogwarts terms, he would be like, Dean isn't a Hufflepuff. I understand that.
Yeah.
He knows that Dean sees some worth in being useful to people, but he understands that Dean comes at it differently, is motivated differently by it. It's not really what he can do for the community in any given situation. It's doing the right thing. And obviously there's he has to have some usefulness in order to do that. But it's in doing the right thing. So he understands that Dean took the mark because he's got to kill Abaddon, and that's all he's saying. And, like, that's the right thing to do, to kill Abaddon. And Cass isn't getting it. He's not getting it, because it's so funny, because it's like, if Cass had been there to take on the mark, then dumbasses, he would have taken it too. He does in a parallel universe. This is how I can be useful, so I'm going to take on the mark of Cain or whatever. But when Dean does it,
what the hell did you do to yourself, Dean?
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. And then it culminates in the show explicitly telling you, paralleling the first conversation where Cain is talking to Crowley. He says, she only asked me for one thing. Crowley goes, to stop, right? Yeah, she asked me to stop. What happens in the reverse crypt scene, as we like to call it in the supernatural fandom?
Yeah, all that happens.
Cass asks him to stop. That's it. He's his Colette. That's season friggin' 9.
He also says, too, that everybody else is dead thousands of years from now. I'll be the one who's still with you.
I always liked that he said everyone you love will be dead except for me, because he loves him.
And I'll be watching you murder the world. We talk about it in the, I don't remember if it's the Dean or the Cass episode, but the way that he appeals to him, and the way that he appeals to him through rightness. He's like, you're going to reach a point where this isn't right anymore. Like, this isn't it. So Dean's having the issue, like, I can't pass on the mark to somebody else. I can't, like, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And Cass is like, yeah, but it's wrong for you to have it. Like, I need you to see that. And I need you to see that you have worth.
And Dean's like, no.
I refuse. And so then Metatron gets Cass, and it's like, you drape yourself in the flag of heaven, but this really is all about one human, isn't it? And you know what his problem is? He's in love. ... With humanity. Right. Exactly like that. He does that pause. So this was me as a, whatever, how old I was, like 19-year-old sitting in my parents' family room, like, oh my fucking God, he's going to say Dean Winchester, and then he didn't. I was like, but he basically did, because we've talked about how Dean Winchester is humanity. It is how Cass comes to understand and view humanity. That is what
he confirms. He confirms. So looking back at all this shit, it's double confirming it. Okay, we are smart people. We knew.
Confirmed it,
dude. We knew the whole way through. We knew we're not crazy. You're crazy. And then the show told us in the end, you're not crazy. And we were like, oh shit, for real? We're not. Like, we know, but we're not. And you're telling us that? Thank you, assholes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like you have some...
What? Was that not an apt description?
That was really
I thought so.
That is what happened. But when did Hannah happen? Was that 9 or 10?
I think that's...
when he gave up the army.
Ooh, he's got the mark. Dean's being like a jerk, so... He's... Right?
So it has to be because 10 Zamara. They let out at the end of 9.
He gives up a whole army for one man, Hannah.
11 Zamara. What the fuck? I don't remember this show anymore. It all blurs together.
Listen, the people who are listening, they know the timeline of Dean and Cass, right?
Yeah,
they
but
understand
I want to talk about
what's important.
He gave up the army.
No, we're going to talk about it right now.
Well, okay, fine. It's out of order now. We don't know.
Because it's
9
insane.
through 11 is kind of a blur, guys. It only clears out at 12.
This is where I fell off.
Okay,
this is where I fell off. Okay, because because I was all on board for believing that with all the shit they had been doing, there was going to be some kind of cure for the mark with Cass's grace. And this isn't me alone, right? This is a million people on Tumblr talking about this and Twitter, and we were all talking about it, and they fucked it. You look at the title card for that season, and it's Grace exploding. It just, they were telling you, and they were telling you, and they were telling you, and it is my conspiracy, my theory, allegedly, that they got renewed, and they had to, like, keep going and extending it, because this was like that would have been like a big thing, okay? So they didn't go with the Grace Cure. That's my conspiracy. I don't care. And I fell off a little bit because I put so much into that season, and I knew it was coming. I knew it in my soul. And then Jeremy Carver did something there that didn't give it to me, and I was pissed. And then I went off, and I fell off for a little while. But I came back.
That was the end of season 9. So he was building. So Cass got the chance to be a leader again because all these angels had just fallen and they were like, what the fuck do we do here on Earth? We have no powers. Castiel understands Earth a little bit. Metatron is sitting up in heaven alone. He's locked it with him inside. So they're going to go after Metatron.
Yep.
So these angels make Cass their leader. I think Dean makes fun of it. He's like, you're leading all these freaks? And Cass is like, yeah, why is that hard to understand? And Dean's like laughing about it. He's like, okay. But that's the role that Cass needs to fill at the time. That's literally what the angels made him. And he shows up, and we haven't even talked about this because it hasn't been relevant to the Hufflepuff Gryffindor thing, but it's relevant to well, I guess it is a little bit. Angels keep showing up and going and looking at Dean and going, look at what you've done to this perfectly good fucking angel. You fucking ruined is what you did. You touched it and you ruined it. It's ruined. Like, they keep saying that to him in front of Cass. When,
to his face. Yep.
Fucking Rachel comes down and is like, the very touch of you corrupts. And Cass is sitting there like, fuck, why you gotta say it out loud?
You've fallen in every way possible.
Why are you gonna tell him? But so they keep doing it. And Dean, with the mark, kills Tessa, who's I'm not even going to talk about this retcon because it's fucking stupid. She's a Reaper, but it's an angel adjacent or whatever. They're mad about it. So he kills her, and Hannah's like, kill him. And right away, I laughed at I was like, okay.
Yeah, we all collectively started cracking up. Like, yeah, that's going to happen, lady.
But Hannah's like, if you choose him over us, we're gone. We're not going to help you. And here's Cass. Cass wants to fix what he's fucked up. And it's his fault that Metatron's sitting up in heaven alone. So he desperately wants to fix what he's fucked up. But when it comes down to it, and the angels are like, if you want us to help, you will kill this man. He goes, goodbye. And he leaves. And Dean's line is, Cass, you just gave up an army for one man. And it's like, idiot. He gave it up for you. If they were like, kill Sam Winchester, he would have been like, maybe let's take him out back and we'll think about it. And then he would have flew them away.
No.
Like, he would have flew them away, but he would have let them think like, maybe I will. But with Dean, he was like, no, I'm just gonna tell these motherfuckers no. Like, let's make it clear to everybody that I'm not touching a hair on Dean Winchester's head. Like, that's just. I feel like as we go more and more into this, I'm losing the Gryffindor Hufflepuff thread and just like blabbing about it.
Well, because it's getting to the point where you're getting to like later seasons has some really, really insane Dean and Cass shit. And at a certain point, it's like we've established they're a Gryffindor and a Hufflepuff. So everything that they do refers back to that. And
you can figure it out without us explicitly explaining. But also, like I said, 9 and 11 is like a mush thing, whatever. 10.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is 10 Amara? I don't think it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Again, here's where I fall off.
No, it's not. He still has the mark in 10.
He does. This 10 is when he gives up the army, I'm telling you.
Is the beginning of 10 Demon Dean? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It's when he dies, because he's with Metatron, and Metatron's like, Dean Winchester just died, and Cass is like, what?
God, so much shit happens on this goddamn show.
Okay, so he's Demon Dean, and then he's Marky Kane Dean again, and actually, the reverse curve scene doesn't happen until the end of this season. Because it's with.
You know what? I'm less worried about getting the timeline right than I am.
Okay, but I was gonna say, I think we basically talked about season 10. Then it's the reverse crypt scene. I'm pretty sure is like the major, and also Kane tells him the order in which he will kill people, and when he lists Cass, he's like, and then you'll kill the angel Destiel, and that one I imagine will hurt something fierce. I'm like, what? This is the thing.
You said that's so cute. That's not quite how he delivered it, but you said it cute.
Timothy Edmondson's got the slight southern thing going on.
Yeah, I know. But he says, that one I suspect would hurt something awful.
Whatever. Yeah, there's not much to talk about in season 10, because it's like, Dean's a demon.
I'm sure there is, but the very deep, like, it cuts deep Destiel moments.
It's like the attack dog scene. I think that's the season 10.
Yeah, that's it. That was a pretty big one. He wraps him up in a blankie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then he goes attack dog. And
so I think...
This is where I fell off. This is it. Right here, after the grace period. Yep.
I think this
Nico,
contributes.
bye-bye.
So it's just a series of shit for Cass where he like. So at the beginning, he was really trying, like 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. He was really trying, and then he fucked up, and then he was trying to fix his fuck up. So every time that he wasn't able to fix it, or he fucked up worse trying to fix it, it's like just a fall. So he like sits around watching Netflix for a lot of season 10. This is Cass disengaging when he is not useful, when he's not actively out there trying to be useful. And he does get to the point where he's like, okay, now I want to come on hunts or whatever, and he did that in season 8 too, when he was like, I'm not an angel anymore, I'm gonna be a hunter, and it was really cute. But he needs something, he needs a role to fill, and when he's not doing it, he's at his lowest point. So Claire comes in season 10, and that gives Cass something, because it's something he fucked up, so it's something to atone for. So he like tries to get along with Claire. And then the end of season 10 is trying to get the mark off of Dean again. That scene that everybody loves to talk about where Dean hands over the first blade and it looks like he's handing it to Crawley, and he hands it to Cass. Yeah, that's all for season 10, really. But it's leading into this, like, really there's nothing to say about, it's sad, but there's not much to say about Cass in season 10. And then Dean is not himself. He's got the mark of Cain. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that as a Gryffindor, Rachel.
About having the mark of Cain?
We talked about Soulless Sam, so how being a Slytherin and soulless is versus anybody else. Anybody with the mark of Cain is going to be different. Like if we actually got to see Cass take on the mark of Cain, it would have been different.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty clear. It's like unparalleled just violence. It's not exactly like Purgatory where he doesn't have responsibilities anymore. Same thing with Demon Dean. You see him kind of like the anxiety releases and goes away, because the mark does still give him guilt. You see him feel bad about it, but he cannot control it. But he gets to the
point at the end. This is what Cass gets mad at him about, that he kills the kid. And Dean kills the kid because the kid's a Stein. Whatever, that family.
And because of what happened to Charlie,
Frankenstein's people, and they killed Charlie. So the kid's telling him, I'm not like them. I've only ever done what they forced me to do, but I've never really done the surgery stuff. I don't want to do it. I will go away and I will never hurt anybody again. And if I do, you can come after me, but I never will. And Dean brutally murders him. And yes, that is the mark of Cain, but this is also coming from the influence of Dean Winchester and what is right.
He cannot see past someone from his circle of responsibilities, we'll call them, being so brutally murdered. It was such a wrongdoing that even Dean naturally would want to literally kill off this whole family. Pre-Mark Dean would want that. So when he has the mark, it's exactly what he's going to do. And it's a very Gryffindor thing. It's like this person meant a lot to me, and I now want to burn you all alive. I will just kill all of you. And the mark kind of, it enables the violent, vengeful retribution side of Dean Winchester.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? This is how we think, we Gryffindors.
So season 11.
It's sickness.
Amara, which,
Amara.
I'm not sure how you could come at it from a Hufflepuff Gryffindor standpoint, just the way that she connects Dean and Cass, though. But we can come at Lucifer from that standpoint. We talked about Lucifer a lot when we talked about Hufflepuff Cass, because here Cass is again. Got to do the right thing. This is how I can be useful. Obviously, Sam's not going to take on Lucifer. I don't want Dean to take on Lucifer. So here I am. I'm open. I'm literally not doing anything to be helpful, says Cass's brain. So I'll say yes to Lucifer. And it's so funny too, because I was watching how Dean immediately freaks out and is like, we've got to get Cass back. We've got to save him. And Mr. Slytherin Sam is well, Dean, we should respect his choice. And Dean's like, the fuck you talking about? We got to go get him back, Sam.
Respect his choices.
The fuck are you talking about?
What's wrong with you?
His choice was stupid and wrong, Sam. So...
And now we gotta fix it and bring him home.
Right,
Let's go.
Right. So yeah, like you see big Gryffindor Dean when he when they trap Lucifer in the Ring of Fire and he gets to talk to Cass and it's like Cass! He's like, Cass! Like
yeah, he mocks the shit out of him because everybody knows. And it's so funny because in that season, Lucifer in Cass's body is like, I'll just go up to him and go, Dean. No, wait. And he puts the puppy dog eyes and he goes, Dean. Like really low. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Oh my God, they're a mess.
Shoulder wrong though.
And Dean knows because Dean always knows when something's a little bit off with his angel.
He knows.
Gross.
Yeah, but I mean that was just a huge thing for Cass that like I'm useless, so I'll say yes to Lucifer, and maybe I'll help get rid of Amara.
But just through a Dean and Cass lens, this again is how can I be useful to Dean specifically? How can I help?
Right.
And he knows Dean's gonna be pissed. He knows, but at this point, you can see he's starting to get a little ballsier about it. He's starting to get like
whatever, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, he's like, shut up, Dean. I'm tired of it. And no, I'm not going to just follow you around and listen to you.
Why do you always get to do stupid stuff in the name of being right, but I can't do stupid stuff in the name of being useful? Like, what the fuck?
And he starts standing up and saying, like, explicitly defying him, where before he probably would have just kept his mouth shut and did what he wanted. But now he's like, no, shut up. Like, stop. You're being dumb now. And he goes and does it. And you know what? It's maybe not the best move. And Dean doesn't love that it's going on, but Cass decided it for himself, so we love an independent angel, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like so interesting to me too that they end up doing the same thing that the other would, but for different reasons, and it's solely because they can't understand the reasons that they are able to get mad about it. Like, right. and because they love each other, basically. But not gay. But so season 11 ends with Dean going to sacrifice himself. And actually, Cass accepts it. It's something that Dean wants to do.
Well, Hufflepuff is more willing to accept the person they love's decisions than a Gryffindor is. So.
That's true. He does, though. Dean asks him to take care of Sam. And Cass is ready to do it.
Yep.
So, season 12. Dean isn't dead. His mother's back. Cass immediately bonds with his mother. Who knows they're gay. Don't tell me that look she gave them wasn't like,
Oh, please. So knowing.
But season 12 is a big one for Dean and Cass.
Yeah.
Big 3 episodes are Lily Sunder, Remembering Dean, and then Stuck in the Middle, which come in the middle of the season.
Wow.
And
Lily Sunder is just like one of my favorite episodes ever.
Crazy. We could analyze just Lily Sunder, I think, and get
we could.
Hufflepuff and Gryffindor. But we probably talked about them enough in the Dean and Cass episodes because that's like one of my favorite episodes.
More than likely.
Yeah. I don't even know we have to talk about it much more again. Like the angels are here saying Cass is the most useless piece of shit ever, and Dean's like, I'm pissed at Cass, but how dare you? Yeah. He's also mad at Cass at this point because Cass has gotten tired of Dean Winchester making deals and sacrificing himself, so he just straight up kills the supernatural entity he made the deal with. And Dean gets furious with him because he's like, you're in trouble now. There's cosmic consequences and something's going to happen to you. And Cass is like, why is it okay for something to happen to you, but not something to happen to me? And this is, again, coming from like the not understanding standpoint. Cass is like, I'm being useful. I'm saving you. And Dean's like, something's going to happen to you. You're going to leave me. But so Stuck in the Middle, Cass almost dies. And he says, I love you.
He does to all of them. But, come on.
No, he says just to one person at first. And then he says it to everyone.
His eyes go to one person.
Well, he says, I love you. I love you all.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know. You want to you get to steer these last. This is where you came in again. This convinced you to come back.
Okay. Well, for season 13, I think the biggest thing is obviously Cass getting stabbed through the AU world slit, whatever you want to call that. What did they call it on the show? They didn't give it a name, did they?
Really. No, the portal.
Yeah, it's just it's a portal. So, you got that whole moment where Cass is going, guns blazing at Lucifer. He's like, he's got his angel blade out, and Dean clocks it and starts screaming. And this is where you get all the parallel gifs of Dean pulling Sam out of the room with Jess when she's burning on the ceiling, and Sam pulling Dean back because he's like, Cass, you gotta stop, Cass. And he's freaking out. And then, the relief of the moment where Cass comes through and he thinks he's okay and he's survived, but he hasn't. Spoiler alert, he gets friggin' stabbed through the back and dies in front of Dean. Okay, and then you've got baby Jack in the house. And who runs in to deal with that problem? Not Dean. He's got to fall on his knees and look at Cass's dead body until the morning, where he then wraps him up like a grieving widow. Slowly, tenderly, puts them together, wraps them all up, puts them on the pyre. You just know he carried him in bridal style. He carried him out bridal style. And he did not accept any help with that. And they say goodbye. And this is one of those moments where Jensen Ackles' face just tells more of a story than probably was on the pages of the script. Because as he's watching, it's devastating. It's devastating watching Dean watch that burn. Watch Cass burn. It hits you really hard.
It's true.
No comments? You had no feelings about this moment? All right, she doesn't ship Destiel.
It didn't affect me at all. I'm completely removed. No, I'm just thinking again, how mad Dean is. He prays to Chuck, to God. He's like, you bring him back. You bring him back right fucking now. Cass doesn't deserve this. The righteous anger of Cass doesn't deserve to be dead. I don't deserve for Cass not to be here. He knows. He's like, I don't deserve this. Cass deserves to be here, and I deserve to have him here. The demon for a split second hits on in the first episode. She's like, you think the Nephilim can bring Cass back? And you can see Dean be like, it's exactly what I fucking thought. It's the only reason I'm entertaining this kid. She's like, well, he can't. He does. He ends up doing it. And then Dean's immediately okay with him because he did that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Now you're cool, Jack. Yeah. And then Cass comes back and he annoyed a cosmic entity so much that he was able to return from the dead. And Dean again with Jensen Ackles' Jack-ding Joyces. I cannot, you can't put it into words. It's beyond the script what Jensen does. When he's just in the car and he picks up the phone. And it's Cass, and the light shines directly on Dean's face as he's on the phone. And he's like, oh, my God. And they see him standing there, and he tells them, yeah, I annoyed the empty, and it so much that it just, got rid of me. It spit me out. I couldn't deal with me anymore. And Sam's like, I don't even know what to say. And Dean's all, I do, come over. And assaults him with his body with love. And it's just all of a sudden, Dean's sunshine has come back. The world is right again. The sun is shining. He gets to play cowboys with his boyfriend now.
Dresses him up.
Yeah, he gets him exactly where he wants him, let me tell you. He puts him right in the cowboy outfit. And even that, it's so funny the conversations they must have had behind the scenes. I think I remember Misha saying that, yeah, me and Jensen talked about how crazy you guys were going to go over this. Because it's it's ridiculous. I'm your Huckleberry. Slow-mo walking with the cowboy hats. When we've always known Dean's fetish. It's cowboys. This is his thing. So he gets to dress him up. Very cute.
So season 14.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
You okay?
What about it?
You have something really important? I cut you off.
Do I have something really important? No, not at all. I'm just talking about how gay he is. That's all.
I think they got it.
You're good.
So season 14.
I think they've gotten it enough by now. I think we've lost a couple of them.
Season 14, Dean gets possessed by Michael. And you actually see at the end, I said this when this episode aired, when they find out that Dean is possessed by Michael. Michael takes him over and he disappears. And there's a shot of Cass sitting on the stairs of the bunkers looking utterly wrecked. And I was like, this was Cass's first ever mission. To not have Dean say yes. And it's probably the only thing Cass has ever succeeded at. And to have him, 12 years later, he failed it, and he's sitting there, and now he loves this man on top of it.
In love, deeply in love. It's a thing.
See, and Dean's whole I mean, like with the Mark of Cain, Dean's whole reaction to being possessed is very Gryffindor. And the fucking Malak, we talked about the fucking box. Like, well, obviously the solution is to lock myself in the coffin and have myself thrown into the ocean. And like, and Cass is like, no, it's not. Like, I'll dress up as a doctor to stop you. But
right, yeah, let me get all Dr. Sexy on you. He knew. Yeah, I mean, there are just these moments throughout all of these seasons that it could go on forever, just analyzing each and every step of the way that they make the choices they do, and we view them through the lens of Gryffindor and Hufflepuff because we don't have to make it fit. It just does fit. And the way they love each other, the way that they present their love to each other is just as Gryffindor and Hufflepuff as any of the moments we've described. It's like ridiculous. The communication, the lack of communication, the way they communicate, the way they come at battles, the way they come at each other is ridiculous. Even like the breakup.
Yeah.
Right? They have this whole big breakup. And it's Dean can't get over the death of his mother. And we talked about this earlier in this episode, how he cannot get over the death of one of his family members. His family members are his responsibilities. They're his. And he's never been able to get over the death of his mother or reconcile what she is now to him, what she's like now with the image of what he had in his head of her. It's hard enough. And he's got to take it out on somebody. And
Jack's dead.
He realizes, and Jack's dead. And Cass has never really left him. And I don't think he thinks Cass will leave now. I think he half expects it and half doesn't, because this is the Gryffindor paradox, right?
Cass has, because he tried to leave him at 8, but Cass is fully here now, right? Like, he's fully Winchester community now. And Dean understands it. He knows it. So
that's it. He's home. So
he knows Cass is home, yeah.
So he plays on this a little bit, right? And he takes advantage of this a little bit. And he feels like he can just lash out and say whatever, because if he said it to Sam, Sam wouldn't go anywhere. Sam's his brother. He knows, like, they'll be fine. And I think he thinks this a little bit of Cass too. Like, I don't even think he's thinking very much about Cass in this moment. This is a very Gryffindor anger moment where it's just like something goes wrong and it's always you. And he just says it. And you immediately see the look on his face after he says it, where he's like, it's still angry, but it slowly gets a little bit more like, oh, fuck. Why'd I say it? Like, why'd I say it out loud? But it needed to be said because this whole leading up to this was Cass was trying so hard to get Dean to just talk to him and to get through it. And Cass is like, you won't even look at me. Like, you cannot even look at me. You used to trust me. What is this? I'm dead to you. And you see some of them hitting Dean a little bit. He rolls his eyes. He moves his head around. So Gryffindor, like, yeah, whatever, man. Because you're the problem. I could never be the problem here. This is you. Where are you going? Yeah. What do you mean? Hold on. Why are you walking away? He's walking away. Sam, he's walking away. Like, he doesn't understand. That's pretty heavily Gryffindor. And of course, Cass has realized, I am of no use here anymore. I officially understand you can't get over this and I can't be of use to you anymore. And I love you and I can't deal with that. So I'm going to have to go. And he leaves Dean's fine ass on that table.
And he tells him, like, you didn't ask me to stay.
Yeah, later.
Like, that's what Cass needed. I needed to be asked to stay. And Dean's like, I need you to stay without me asking. It's like, you're both dumb. Again, yeah. Because we're in a situation here where, whatever, both idiots. And, like, I don't, like, we don't have enough time to get into, like, the whole, like, not, like, this is, like, zooming out into the world of Supernatural. But, like, the whole thing with, like, God himself saying, like, in all the universes, in all the times that the Destiel went to get Dean and gripped him tight and raised him from the pit, they all did what they were supposed to do, except you. Right. Except this Cass. And it's just something, we know that our Cass has got a crack. All the angels said it, Chuck said it, it was shown that they had to keep reprogramming. So we know our Cass is also special. But there was also he was predisposed to love Dean Winchester and to want to be useful to Dean Winchester. Like, that's the secret power that Dean holds, is that Cass decides that he wants to give his usefulness to him, which is a very precious thing. A Hufflepuff's usefulness, a Hufflepuff's motivation for existing and being and doing to have that belong to one person. And Dean's a dumbass Gryffindor, and he doesn't always treat it as precious as it is, but I think he does understand it. And the freaking end of the entire show when Bobby's like, Cass helped. He helped build this heaven. And you know, Dean knows that this heaven was built with only him in mind.
Yeah.
With what has Dean taught me, and what do humans want, and what would Dean want, and this is what they would want. He's like, Cass helped, and it's Jensen Ackles acting again, but it's Dean Winchester canon that he, like, smiles.
Of course. But he realizes this, he's able to realize this because of Cass's big speech at the end of 18, because he flat out tells him, I owe everything to you. I've learned everything from you. I care about others. I care about the world because of you. Because I loved you, I love everything else. And I owe you everything for that. Mm-hmm. And where Dean might not have accepted this before, it's said with such finality, and he sees the empty take him, and he hears the I love you, and it's such a massive moment that later when Chuck is kicking his ass and calls him, what does he say to him? You're a killer. And yeah. And Dean says, no, that's not who I am, because Cass just told him that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. And he takes that with him, and he learns from it. He actually learns from it.
He does. Gross.
Well, a Gryffindor needs someone to explicitly lay it out that way. And for 14 seasons previous, sorry, not 14, but for many seasons previously, Cass wasn't laying out quite that clear.
Well, and also, like, a Gryffindor needs, like, you need people to stick with you. So to have somebody that dedicated to you and to understanding you and to providing help to you was very lucky on Dean's behalf as a Gryffindor. Yeah. Because he had to keep listening, and he always had this person around who felt like he needed to stay until the moments where he felt like he couldn't. But those were learning moments for Dean. They were teachable moments. And
they
so
just
anyway,
learn from each other the entire time. They both attend the school of Dean Winchester, and Dean attends the school of Castiel, weirdly, and they figure it out along the way. They make it up as they go.
Yep.
Awful.
So
sad. Beautiful.
They're in love. They are a Hufflepuff and a Gryffindor. Canonically in love. None of that. Dean loves him too. We just told you why for 2 hours. So,
here's an idea.
Or
if you don't think so, watch the show.
315 hours of show in order to see why it's true. And season 1 through 3 also tells you why. So watch those two.
You are not going to get the level of dedication that you see in me and Lauren and in the entirety of the Supernatural fandom based on like something so shallow as we just want them together. They're pretty. There's so much depth to this story, and hopefully we've convinced you, because the recording itself is like over 2 hours. But we could go on, and I know so could all of you who have made it this far and who are listening. Their love is so deep and so ridiculous that it's worth obsessing about.
Yep.
And I will continue.
Yep. So thank you for the 100 followers on Twitter. We're at 176 now, but that's when we promised this episode. I think it was like 5-star ratings, 10-star ratings. I don't know. We promised this episode, so this was your reward or your punishment. I don't know, whichever way you want to take it. If you liked it, go back and listen to our other stuff. We talk about a bunch of shows. Obviously, we love Dean and Cass. They're mentioned like every episode. But we talk about all your other favorite shows too. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, please. Comment with your rating. Follow us on Twitter. Do all that stuff. We're here. We'll talk about Dean and Cass again. Like we could. I don't know.
We could.
I don't know.
We could.
I don't know.
Listen, I'm sure over the course of this podcast there will be another Dean and Cass episode, but regardless, if you listen to each episode, they're in them. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous how they fit in. We need a bell to ring.
There are callbacks. There are basis for understanding. But anyway, so we'll be back next week at our regularly scheduled time with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Thank you for listening to this bonus episode. If it truly is 2 hours and not 2 1-hour episodes, thanks for sticking around as long as you did. But hope you enjoyed. Destiel is canon.
Keep making them canon, guys. We're in season 17. Let's go.
We did. We made it to season 17.
Here we go.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for listening. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Sort of Brilliant. If our sorting choices inspired any rage or excitement, we'd love to hear from you. We're open to feedback, suggestions for characters to sort, and solid counter-arguments with citations.
Never forget your citations. You can find us hanging out on Twitter and Instagram at SOB_pod or shoot us an email at sortofbrilliant@gmail.com.
And since we're not above begging, please rate and subscribe to Sort of Brilliant on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please share our posts on social media. And if you're a Gryffindor, maybe you'll inspire sorting fights among your own friend group.
The theme music is Hot Shot by Scott Holmes. Can't wait to sort with you again next time. Bye!